how they do it. How the f did they ban abortion under the Biden administration, dude? They didn't do it under the Trump administration. They did it under the Biden regime. How'd they do that? How'd they pass so many anti-trans bills? They do it through the legislative agenda? Did they do this through Congress?
Well, we have breaking news this hour. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg saying that he regrets caving to pressure from the Biden administration to censor speech online. Meanwhile, our commander-in-chief is enjoying his second straight vacation, but the White House claims he is still running the country. And this is the big one. Vice President Kamala Harris's shocking new flip-flop when it comes to the border wall. You will not believe it. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany here with my co-host, Emily Compagno. Also joining us, Fox Business correspondent Jerry Willis, Fox News contributor and board-certified physician Dr. Nicole Saphier, and one of my personal favorites, former Arkansas governor and former presidential candidate Mike Huckabee. So good to have him today. Well, listen to this. Vice President Kamala Harris now supports a border wall. She backs a plan to spend hundreds of millions of dollars.
Why is this a story? Because Republicans are playing catch up because they don't tune into the HasanAbi broadcast and subscribe at the top of the hour. I've been saying this for literally months. They're so stupid. I can't believe how stupid they are. Like, I've literally said, this is such a gimme for the Republicans, the fact that they have a border wall funding bill that they are advocating for after calling the Republicans Nazis for years. That's why they're talking about it now. Stop being so angry and rude. I mean, one side is advocating for Hitlerian border policies, mass immigration, mass purge of migrants in this country to the tune of like 15 million. Okay. And the other side is like, yeah, we got to build the wall that we were calling Republicans Nazis over. So what am I supposed to do? Maybe if you subscribed and then see that, okay, I already ran the top of the hour ad break. Take a day off. Yeah. I bet you're kicking yourself by not realizing that all of Kamala's right-wing positions are just weaker versions of theirs that they can do better, and now they're campaigning on it. Yeah. If only there was someone who was saying that that's a bad idea for quite some time now. If only. But now they are.
On Trump's marquee border wall. This was a project that Harris once described this way.
This issue is about a vanity project for this president, right. And it is a problem of his own making. Right. And listen, when I travel this country, folks have plenty enough problems that they need their president to focus on, instead of a wall. On the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them. We cannot continue to have an administration and a president of the United States who puts his vanity.
Any word on when the year of HasanAbi vindication video is coming? I mean, this is it. You're watching it every day. I'm actually kind of shocked that they didn't do this like a while back. Like, how did it take them this long to finally come with this strategy? Fox News is watching you. If they were, they would have cut this literally 2 months ago, 3 months ago. They would have cut this the moment that Joe Biden said he was going to do a right-wing border bill.
Projects ahead of the needs of the people of our country. Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances, and I do support border security. And if we want to talk about that, let's do that.
But now she wants to, quote, build that wall. I mean, will we start hearing that at Harris rallies? She has a history of bashing the border wall. Several years of tweets, look at this, calling it a, quote, waste and stupid. And while Trump rally crowds have been the ones chanting build that wall for almost a decade, Democrats derided them.
His wall at our southern border.
Quest for a full big wall.
That wall in itself is a reaction to a myth.
No matter how you feel about the wall, you know, I think it's a moral abomination.
America cannot simply build walls. We look foolish to the rest of the world.
A medieval wall, which you can't see through, across the length of the southern border will not make us any safer.
We have to do something other than building a wall. It's immoral, expensive, ineffective, and not something that people do between countries.
A wall is an immoral symbol for our country.
So why the sudden epiphany?
Why'd you all call us Nazis? Are you a Nazi now? Now you're pushing for a border wall, it seems. And we know you're not actually pushing for it because you're fake. Because you called us Nazis for 4 years. 8 years, really. Who could have foreseen that? Who could have foreseen this easy dub for the Republicans. Who? Certainly not someone who's a Twitch streamer like myself. I mean, I'm a ass. What do I know? What the do I know about how this stuff works? I mean, oh man, isn't that crazy? I can't believe they're using this.
It has something to do with this. Headlines since February saying that people support the border wall more than ever before. But will the American people buy this radical change of heart? Harris is betting on it with a brand new political ad.
She took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades.
Governor Huckabee, it is a radical change. It's an unbelievable change. It's one that almost made me fall out of my chair this morning. But I really want to remind our viewers, and I want to get your reaction to this. CNN, this is what actually happened with the border wall.
Fly straight east out of Nogales, Arizona, and you'll pass miles of rolling border wall built.
I just want you to understand something. This is a ginormous flub, and it's going to literally lead to the Democrats putting this border situation at the forefront of the conversation is not going to be a benefit for them. Okay, it's not going to be a benefit for them, and they're going to actually, because they're constantly pumping ads on this issue, they are going to be portrayed as worse on the immigration issue because they're the ones who are also communicating that immigration is a national security problem. That's it. That's it. When it's a bipartisan bill, why is it surprising that it contains pet projects on the other side? Because a Republican wrote it. The bill is a right-wing bill. The problem is they're pushing a right-wing bill that a right-winger wrote. And I've been screaming about this for months. It's a Republican bill. It's a Republican provision. Democrats are simply the ones using this as a talking point. When Biden and the Democratic Party capitulate on right-wing framing on issues, they lend the reactionary propaganda credence. The only issue with immigration is not letting people enter illegally and offering them tools to integrate/work. There's no lump sum of labor. October 6th, 2023. Seems like they released their big border proposal right before the no-no date. Like I said, if only there was a person out there who knew what this spelled for the Dems. We had 10 months where they could have cut counter narratives against this 11 months, but they didn't. Never, ever capitulate to right-wing framing. Never, ever concede or cave to the right on any issues. After all, you're supposed to be the counterbalance to their fascism. Why can't they backtrack? They would look like unimaginable flip-floppers now. So the best thing to do is just like only run in key constituencies, only run like a pro-border wall thing in like very few markets, and only talk about how bad. If I'm going to Arizona, if I'm going to Nevada, if I'm going to New Mexico, I'm running the exact opposite. I'm never talking about the border, or anytime I talk about the border, I'm talking about how Trump is going to deport American citizens that look Mexican. Okay? That's all I'm doing. The fact that they're not doing that is insane to me. Okay? There was a day where I looked up your earliest critique of the Biden admin's immigration policy, and it was April 2021, 3 months into his presidency. Yeah, it didn't take much for me to start on Biden. The biggest issue is one side continues to approach this in good faith. No, they don't. What? But complaining about it is a little ridiculous. No, they don't. The Democrats are not approaching this in good faith. What good faith are they approaching this on? Are you stupid? Do you think immigrants are actually constituting a national security problem? There is no evidence for this. It is a completely fake issue. They're not approaching this issue in good faith at all. That's why I say it's bad politics and bad policy. Good politics would be not to ever concede on trans rights, for example, but not to make trans rights the forefront of your political movement. That would be good politics. It would be, for example, Medicare for all. And then within the Medicare for all structure, having obviously trans healthcare as well be factored into the equation. If you want healthcare, yeah, trans people are going to get healthcare. If you want healthcare, women are still going to be able to get abortions. Like that is good politics and good policy. Okay. I mean, in terms of trying not to bring bipartisan bills or compromise when the other side gives nothing. Why compromise with the Republicans? They've never acted in good faith. What are you talking about? You have been deluded. Into thinking that like compromise is good on its own virtue. Compromise is its own virtue. There is no reason to compromise with the Republicans. They're fascists. They want to do bad things. They want to harm minorities. Okay. I'm sorry. There's no reason to compromise with them. And also, they don't even actually end up compromising with you. They don't. That's why the bipartisan bill is bipartisan in name only. It's just a right-wing bill. A Republican wrote it. Then how do you make progress in Congress? I don't know. How do Republicans do it? Think. How do Republicans do it? They seem to pass their bills a couple different ways. One, name all the bipartisan efforts Republicans engaged in when they were in power. I'll wait. I guess the First Step Act, that's it. That's literally it. And no, Republicans don't win elections. What are you talking about? They don't. They lose all the time, but they still enact their agenda. How? Court packing. Obviously, the Supreme Court being the most significant part of that process. And also utilizing the unfairly redistricted state legislatures to their benefit. That's how they do it. How the f did they ban abortion under the Biden administration, dude? They didn't do it under the Trump administration. They did it under the Biden regime. How'd they do that? How'd they pass so many anti-trans bills? They do it through the legislative agenda? Did they do this through Congress? No. Do they need Congress? No. They just have a willingness to enact their regressive policies, so they actually do it. They just push through. They don't even do it with like a legitimate constituency backing certain bills. Nobody gives a about trans people. Nobody cares. Like, no one's like, oh, my life is... You cannot find a single person, a single human being that's like, my life is so much better now that a 14-year-old trans girl cannot participate in high school swimming competitions. That's not a real person. That person does not exist. That's a deluded loser. What are you talking about? Really? Can you actually pay for your meal? Are your grocery bills cheaper now? Is it easier for you to maintain your job? Do you have more comfort now because the Republican legislature in your state did that? Is that how you feel? Now that you bullied like 3 trans girls in the state of Utah? Utah? I can't even talk. Utah. I kind of like that for Utah. I'm just going to say Utah. Ohio is because I was thinking of Utah and Ohio at the same time. Ohio. Utah. Do you get it? Do you understand why this is stupid as... Anyway, I personally can't even get food down without spitting on at least one sexual minority. It is essential to my daily function to step on the heads of others. Exactly. Leave that alone. Leave people alone. You're a freak loser. Great campaign message. I'm Hasan Piker and I approve of this message. On the issue of immigration, I've been like giving outs to the Democratic Party, constantly saying like, here's a way to message out of this. Here's a way to message out of this. But here's a way to message out of this is 69 days out from the election. Okay, my aunt would disagree. Your aunt would make up a whole bunch of reasons. Yo, your aunt would disagree with the trans thing. Your aunt feels financial security when 4 trans girls in the state of Utah can no longer compete in athletic competitions. Yeah, like rent is cheaper now for her. Is that how that works? I made a very specific statement. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? 4 trans puppy girls. Man, shut up. That's not even a real thing. Do you see what I'm saying? These trans folks are taking away our jobs and our housing. Yeah. And it's not. She's retired. It's her only concern at this point. Yeah, I know. Well, she's voting Republican anyway. You're not going to win that on over. My point is, for the Democrats, they should only say, yeah, these people are gross losers. And it's not going to materially improve their lives when they end up bullying the 4 trans girls in each individual state. This person's username is sus. I'm giving him a week off. The hardest reality I've seen from inside and outside the border bill is that it's 70+% popular and known deeply to be bipartisan. Picking out one piece to attack Kamala doesn't land or stick wildly as Biden up and conceded ground too far on this. When the world moved right on immigration, it's a swing and a miss and lets Kamala attack Trump back for blocking his own wall funding, which they started to do in that lands. I think it's a terrible idea. It's got 70% approval and it's bipartisan. Will a Republican vote for a Democrat for that reason? I'm telling you the inverse of this. Will you vote for a Republican if they were to come out and be like, I don't want a ban on abortion? What are you talking about? Okay. Is anyone going to vote for the Republican Party because they're the pro-abortion party? No? Okay. Then no one's voting for the Democrats because they're the anti-immigration party. I rest my case.
During the President George W. Bush era, then it reveals a construction zone frozen in time. Steel border wall bollards are left in stacks and construction equipment sits on
It's not even just the border wall that they're just messaging on. And for the record, that polling that you're showing right now, I can't believe I use this term so much. That's an untested narrative. It's an uncontested narrative. The Republicans took far too long to start hammering back, okay? The Republicans took far too long to start hammering back on the immigration bill. To be like, do you really trust the Democrats to fix immigration when they made immigration what it is? That's it. That's it. Now they're actually counter messaging against it. We'll see what the polls show later down the line.
Staging grounds. Just weeks before President Biden was inaugurated, the Trump administration pushed ahead to build a 4-mile stretch of new border wall into the Patagonia Mountains. This is the end of the road. About 15 miles east of Nogales, Arizona. This is as far as the border wall construction got.
It's amazing that she, with a straight face, goes out there and says, walls don't.
It could totally flip if they land good hits on the border. Also, interestingly, the border is dropped from number 2 most important down to 3, 4, 5. Yeah, because there is no additional migrants coming over the border right now. Border crossings are at a historic low. It's the same principle behind the crime. Can we talk about something actually useful? What? Freedom includes freedom to hate with policy? You don't think this is useful? We're talking about the lives of 15 million people living on U.S. soil right now. I think it's pretty important to talk about.
Don't work. And she does this for years. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to be strong on the border. Well, no, she's not. The closest she's been to strong on walls is appointing Tim Walz to be her vice president. That's as close as she gets. From there, it's all downhill. But it's just an amazing thing. And you wonder, will the American people believe her? Because the only people who've been screaming about the walls are the Democrats who live behind walls. Nancy Pelosi has a wall. Joe Biden has a wall around the White House. If they don't work, take them down. Let's see if they work.
Well, speaking of Tim Walz, you teed that up quite nice.
Literally the dumbest argument of all time is like, wow, you don't like the border wall? Why are there walls around the bathrooms? Yeah. Why are there walls around your house? I'm very smart. Except that's how stupid the average Republican is. They literally think that's a good line. They think he's spitting hot fire right now.
Nicely. Tim Walz has a message for his running mate. Listen to this.
He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory.
So will he invest in a ladder factory to defeat what the commander-in-chief, who he's supposed to serve, wants to do?
Yeah, he can try. I would love the investment in American jobs. That would be new from that side of the aisle. But I will say, sir, to your question, I hope deeply that Americans do see through her. The clip that we showed from Oakland in 2019, remember, was the same speech she gave when she announced her now failed candidacy for president in the made-up home that she's from, because she was born in Berkeley, remember, but raised in Canada. And her throwing around the phrase transnational gangs, to me, sort of indicated a signal like, hey, guys, the prosecutors got it, right? I'm on it. But the reality is that under her tenure in that state as district attorney across the...
What do you mean? She's been saying transnational gangs since like 2019. She's a cop. She was a cop in 2019, attitude-wise, and she's still a cop now.
The Bay in San Francisco, an attorney general, senator for a minute, and then vice president now. It has been ravaged by those transnational gangs, actually. The very city that she stood has been ravaged. All semblances of safety obliterated.
Yeah, no, totally. San Francisco's on fire, dude. Yeah, famously. It's on fire. She's been talking about transnational gangs since her DA years. Source, I watched way too much Kamala lore. How the heck are you even more libbed up after watching all this Kamala lore? And how is it not pissing you off?
And so for her to now say that I've changed all of the vitriol I spoke about President Trump is now, on the whim of the fact that headlines now indicate the majority of Americans spoke this. Well, what about all of those Americans that are stuck in the Bay Area, that are stuck in California, that under her watch lost loved ones, that have had their livelihoods eroded? Her reciting a talking point from a teleprompter, to me as a native Californian, does nothing but simply indicate yet again her hypocrisy and her knee-jerk acquiescing to whatever liberal left talking point is in the prompter in front of her.
But the question becomes, Dr. Sapphire, will the media let her get away with it? And this morning, the indication we have is from The Guardian. I mean, the headline about this story, think about this. You go from saying it's a medieval project to now you embrace it. And The Guardian headline is Republicans accuse Kamala Harris of flip-flopping on border wall policy. That is crazy.
Well, of course they're going to let her get away with it. They're complicit in it because of the exact opposite headlines you see if Kamala Harris says something versus President Trump saying it as well. I mean, they really continue to show her in the favor. And let's just remember at this point, she keeps continuing to say, oh, President Trump is the reason that the immigration bill didn't go through. He blocked the immigration bill, and he's the reason there's a migrant problem right now. He decided to block, or his influence, I guess he said that he didn't believe in that bill because it would allow far too many illegal crossings. It was unfairly tied to Ukrainian funding, and he thought it was a weak bill. But let's also remember the crisis we're in right now is because day one, the Harris and Biden administration rolled back all of President Trump's policies at the southwest border. Rarely do I ever look to the culprit of a problem for the solution. And that's what she's saying for us to do, that she's going to fix it. She caused the problem.
Yeah, you know, John Carl, just before posing as a Kamala Harris surrogate in his interview with Tom Cotton, did ask Bernie Sanders an important question. Watch this.
But if you take a look at that ad, one thing that I found striking is if you look, and I think we have the images here, there are at least 3 points in that ad that show the border wall, Donald Trump's border wall. Is it now the position of the Democrats that they favored the border wall?
Well, you can ask the Harris campaign about that ad. That's the first that I've seen it. Bottom line is I think there's wide recognition in this country, and we've had some success. I think the number of illegal immigrants coming in recently has gone down.
I think if they were smart, they wouldn't tailor this message specifically around Trump. The Republicans, I mean. They're too, engaged in idolatry to not recognize that the better way to message on this issue is to literally say, you called every Republican that wanted a border wall a Nazi, and now you want to build the border wall yourself. Okay? That's it. It's not about Donald Trump. You need to personalize it for Americans in general. So many Americans lost their families to this issue. Okay? So many Americans fought long and hard at Thanksgiving tables. So many parents lost their siblings, lost their children to this argument because you guys were too busy calling us Nazis, every single one of us. You beefed up the divisive rhetoric, and now push comes to shove. You open up the borders. And you let immigrants come in because you wanted to win elections and make them illegally vote. You did this, and then you realized that Americans woke up to the reality that immigration is a massive problem, and now you're turning around and you're acting like you were with us the whole way. Why should any American trust you when you say you want to build a wall when only a couple years ago you were calling us Nazis? That's what I would say if I was a Republican. Not this whole you took Trump's issue. It's Trump's thing. Stupid. They'll get there eventually. This is why Hank Pecker, this is why T-Pain thinks Hasan is right wing. I'm just saying, it's so stupid. They just completely gave ground to the Republicans on this issue. Hasan is literally proving he could easily make the switch to right wing grifter if he wanted to. Yeah.
Substantially, that is a major issue, and we've got to continue to do that.
So given his track record, will he now grill the Kamala Harris campaign on this? And will progressives allow Kamala?
Could the Dems countermeasure by saying we didn't change our minds, we needed a piece of compromise with, and Republicans cynically rejected it? No, because there is no compromise there.
Let it get away with it.
You know what? My reaction to that ad is what happened to the Joy campaign, right? This is grim.
It's the same principle behind abortion is murder. Okay, Republicans ran on abortion is murder, abortion is murder. Okay, look what happened. Now they're running on, okay, maybe it's only murder in Ohio. And sometimes murder is okay even in Ohio. How the can you do abortion is murder and then be like, sometimes murder is fine? Whoa, you okay? Little lady. She slipped. She's fine. She's fine. You're fine. You're okay, little lady. You can't capitulate. I'm telling you, Hasan could create messages to the right wing so much better than them. They ruined their own message by injecting things like personal attacks. San Francisco's burned to the ground. Joy's stupid. All that stuff is electoral poison. Yeah, they do. They also cut away at their own. They also cut away at their own narrative when they bring up Trump for no reason. Does that make sense? When they're being like, oh, you stole Trump's border policy. Who gives a dumbass? You're supposed to say you called every Republican for advocating for stronger border protections, which Trump graciously brought, and then you undid all of Trump's border policies. This part I'm lying about because they didn't really do that. And then immigration became a massive problem, And now it's far too late. And now you're cynically trying to act like you were with it the whole time. How dare you call every Republican and then turn around and push the same principles, same policies.
Of the border. Is she changing her idea on that too? I mean, look, at the end of the day, she's co-opting the most popular idea.
All this because of a clip in a video. This is reaching. Wait, what? All this because she showed a border in a video. It's a reach? No, dude. The right-wing bill that was written by a Republican in Congress that the Democrats acted like was a bipartisan bill literally features millions of dollars in funding for the border wall construction. It's not about the clip in the video. It's not a reach at all. You're coping. She has not stopped. She has not stopped on this front. If pro-immigration is a good message for the Democrats, why did Clinton lose with it in 2016? Yeah, dude. That's why Hillary Clinton lost in 2016, because she was pro-immigration. If pro-immigration is a good message for the Democrats, why did Biden lose in 2020 when he was objectively pro-immigrant? Oh, wait, that's right. It actually was a significantly more important issue in the 2020 election, and he actually said the exact opposite. He was pro-immigration, and he won.
Ideas of Trump, right? Former President Trump has championed this cause for a long time. Now here she comes. Hey, I'm coming.
Yeah, Hillary didn't lose in 2016 because she wasn't pro-immigration. She was anti-Michigan and anti-Wisconsin. That's why she lost.
Not okay with that. If you really want to move to that side of the aisle, it's okay by me. I think it makes more sense, certainly, but we have no indication that she will stay there, right? It's all flip-flopping and flip-flopping on a number of ideas and issues. I'm just hope that the Medicare for All truly is dead, because that would have cost us $47 trillion over 10 years, something we can't afford.
Yeah, first it was no tax on tips, and now she wants to build that wall. I mean, why even have a debate? Just say, I want that guy's policies. We'll see.
Hey, everyone. There's also big news this morning on an issue that could have a major effect on the election. A federal judge has temporarily blocked a landmark effort by the Biden administration to offer 500,000 immigrants a path to U.S. citizenship. Nancy Cordes is at the White House following this one for us. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning, Tony. This Texas judge's order applies to a Biden administration policy that was just announced in June that would grant legal status to undocumented immigrants married to American citizens. And just to refresh everyone's memory on how this policy was designed to work, it allows unauthorized immigrants to apply for temporary work permits and to get deportation protections if they're married to a U.S. citizen and have lived in this country.
What the?
Living here in the U.S. and about 50,000 of their children, because in the past the process could include a long wait outside of the U.S., forcing families to separate. But now we have this pause from a judge. It comes after 16 states, led by Republican attorneys general, challenged the new policy, saying it bypassed Congress for, quote, blatant political purposes. As you know, immigration is a major and contentious issue in this election, with more than half of Americans saying it's a top factor for them, according to a recent CBS News poll. This judge made his order valid for just 2 weeks, but he also suggested he could extend it. Both sides have until October 10th to file briefs in the case. Federal officials, in the meantime, can continue accepting applications, but they just can't approve any. And they had just started accepting applications last week, Tony.
Have you ever met an open socialist before and sat and talked with them on a porch?
No, you're not yet.
You.
We talked to real swing voters. What they told us will